Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a huge collection of Jurassic World apex predators, meaning that they are at the top of the food chain. And I've actually got a brand new Tyrannosaurus Rex from the Jurassic World Legacy collection that we're gonna open up first. Here is the brand new T-Rex and the baby T-Rex. I already have one of these T-Rexes, but I think this is the first of the green T-Rex that I have. So I'm super excited to check this one out. As you can see, most of its body's a dark green color. It's got the lighter underbelly and it's got the black detailing right along the top. And it's about as adjustable as my other T-Rex figures. So you can move the ankles, you can move the legs into different positions, move the tail around, and then the neck you can also move around so it can look in different directions. And of course there's the button at the top of its head for the chomping action. This is a really cool looking figure, and I'm sure that the T-Rex is one of the best known apex predators. Here we've got a dinosaur that you can't find in real life, but I'm sure it would be an apex predator if it was real. This is the Indominus Rex, and this is one of the big figures. You can see that it's pretty adjustable. You can move the legs into different positions, and that causes the dinosaur to look up and down. You can see it moves its neck back and forth like that. This figure also comes with the two action buttons, one for the chomping, and then one on the back for the slashing action. This is another T-Rex. This one is mostly brown. It's got the dark brown on the top, lighter brown on the sides, and then a tan on the bottom. And this T-Rex figure has a tearing action, actually. So when you press this button on its back, it tears just like that. And there's also a second action button that swings the tail back and forth. Here is a Carcharodontosaurus with blue coloring on its body and the orange and brown detailing on the top. This also has one action button for chomping. Plus, you can adjust the arms and the legs and the tail as well. Next up, we've got two Indoraptors. And obviously, these dinosaurs aren't from real life, but if they were, I can guarantee you that they would be an apex predator. I just remember them from the Jurassic World movie. These were some of the most feared dinosaurs. This first Indoraptor is a more basic figure. You can only move the arms, the legs, and the tail, but you can't adjust the neck or open and close the mouth. But on this second Indoraptor figure, this one is super adjustable. It's got a bunch of points of articulation. Again, it's a double jointed tail. You can bend the knees, you can bend the ankles, you can adjust the arms fully, and you can open and close the mouth too. Right over here, we've got two Suchomimuses. This one is a blue with yellow detailing, and this one is yellow with brown detailing on the top. This one has two action buttons, one for chomping and one for the tail. This Suchomimus only has one action button that activates the jaw. Right up top here, we've got a smaller figure, but still a fearsome predator. This is a Baryonyx. It's got the green sides and belly and the brown top. The arms and legs can articulate and move around, and there's an action button on its back for chomping. Back here, actually, we've got another Baryonyx. This one has a brown body and sides with the dark gray blue coloring on the top and the bright orange detailing right on the top of its face. And just like the other figure, the legs and the arms can move too. Here is an older Jurassic World figure. You can see that this is another T-Rex. It's got the full tan body, and on its head it's got some gray detailing. It's got those yellow eyes and an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Here we've got a newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This is a Carcharodontosaurus. It's got the green body, a lighter yellow underbelly. It's got some brown detailing along the top, and then that bright orange piece right on its head. This figure is pretty adjustable with its arms and its legs. You can see that moving the legs dips its head down like that. And the tail controls the jaw and can move the neck around too. Back here is another newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This is a Scorpiovenator. This figure has an orange belly and sides. It's got some white detailing right along the top and a dark gray blue color right along the top of its head. This figure is fairly adjustable. You can move the arms and the legs, and when you push down on its legs, it does a chomping action. This one is another T-Rex. This T-Rex though is the battle damage edition. It's got the button on top that you can use to turn on and off the battle damage, which is a pretty awesome feature. This figure is pretty adjustable too. You can move the ankles, can move the legs up and down. The tail only has one joint in it though, but the neck of this T-Rex is really adjustable. You can have him look in all directions, and you can open and close its mouth really easily. This is a Carnotaurus figure. It's got the clay red body with the darker detailing spots on the sides and the brown right along the top. You can see that the Carnotaurus has a lot of bumps and ridges and that spine right there as well. And with this figure, the tail controls the head, and there's a button as well to open and close its mouth. Here's another newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series, and I think this is one of my favorite newest dinosaur figures. This is the Rajasaurus. This figure also has a chomping action when you press down on the legs, and you can adjust its arms, its legs, and even twist its tail around a little bit. I love this dinosaur's head. You've got the horn right at the top, and you've got this really cool, smaller spine right on its neck, these spikes. It's really cool. Here we have another very well-known apex predator. This is a Velociraptor. This specific one is actually Velociraptor Charlie from the Amber collection. So this figure is very adjustable. You can move all the different parts of its arms and legs, and you can adjust its head quite a bit as well too. And it's even got this headpiece right behind its face too. This is another ginormous T-Rex, and this T-Rex is pretty adjustable as well. As you can see, you can move the arms up and down, you can adjust the leg position, and instead of moving the neck and face up here, you actually can control it with the tail by swiveling it. This is another Velociraptor from the Amber collection. This one is Velociraptor Echo. This Velociraptor has the light brown coloring as well as the dark black right on top. And just like the other Amber collection Velociraptor, it is very adjustable on all different parts of its body. You can even move the claws on its feet up and down. Back over here, we've got a smaller Indominus Rex figure. This is an older Jurassic World figure. It's got the battle damage on the side that you can open and close. And this figure is fairly adjustable as well. You can move the legs a little bit, you can move the arms just a bit, and the tail controls the mouth and the neck too. We've got a few more awesome looking Baryonyxes in here. This first one has a slide action for different roaring sound effects. And this Baryonyx doesn't have any buttons on it, but you can use the tail to move the head around. Right over here is a well-known predator from Jurassic World. Once again, it isn't a real dinosaur, but I can guarantee this would be an apex predator. This is the Scorpius Rex. This figure has 2 action buttons on its back, one for the mouth and one for the claws. And the rest of the figure is pretty adjustable too. You can move the legs quite a bit, and you can adjust the neck to have it look around. And the tail is spring-loaded too, so you can fling the tail back and forth with those poisonous quills. Back here is a huge water dinosaur that I'm sure you recognize from the first Jurassic World movie. This is the Mosasaurus. This figure is ginormous. It's got a dark blue body on the top and then a white underbelly. And all over its body you can actually see these like white specks, a little bit of detailing. And there's a few things that you can move on this figure. You can move the fins around, you can swivel the tail back and forth, and you can open and close the jaw, which is a pretty big jaw, I'd say. Probably fit a few small dinosaurs in there. Here's another popular apex predator. This is the Spinosaurus. Did you know that the Spinosaurus is the largest known carnivorous dinosaur that existed? These were even bigger than T-Rexes. This figure has an adjustable tail, the legs are pretty movable, as well as the ankles. You can move the arms up and down, and you can actually adjust the neck quite a bit as well too. Here is another awesome T-Rex predator. This looks to be very similar as the first T-Rex that I unboxed in this video, but with different coloring. See, it's got the brown body and the darker brown on top, and just like the other T-Rex, an adjustable tail, you can move the legs and the arms, and you can move the head around too. Here's another dinosaur from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is a Quetzalcoatlus. I didn't really know how big these dinosaurs were until I saw them in the new Jurassic World movie. These things were huge, and they took down that plane. This is a Ceratosaurus. I think we actually have another one with different coloring. This one is a dark green color with black detailing on the top, and this one is a light gray with red and a darker gray detailing on the top as well. And they both have that slide action button for different sound effects and different roars. I think the sound effects are the same though. This one's an interesting looking dinosaur. This is a Cryolophosaurus. Look at that interesting crowning on the top of its head. This Cryolophosaurus has a dark blue body with white, red, and bright orange detailing. And you can move the arms, you can move the legs, and you can use the tail to move the head around. Here is another mighty Carnotaurus, the red side and the dark, it's almost like a purple color on the top. This dinosaur has an adjustable tail and adjustable legs and arms, and there's a button on the top for the chomping action. Here's a species I don't think we've seen in this collection yet. This is an Allosaurus. It's got the dark green body with the red and white detailing. See, it's got those spikes right along its spines up top, and you can adjust the arms and the legs and the tail. And it's got the slide action button for different roars and chomps. This bright red dinosaur is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's a pretty interesting looking one, smaller than most of the other figures. It's got the bright orange detailing on the top of its head and the action button on its back for chomping. Next up, we've got, I believe, a Majungasaurus. This is a super colorful dinosaur. It's got the dark green, yellow, and blue on its neck. It's got those teal eyes. And like many of the other dinosaur figures, you can use the tail to move the head and neck around. This is an Albertosaurus with the Battle Damage edition. As you can see, it's got two different types of battle damage. One that's right there on the top of the plastic, and one that you can actually open up. This has the stomach and ribs that you can close down, and then the skin that you can do to cover all of the battle damage. That's pretty cool. The rest of the figure is pretty adjustable too. You can move the legs, arms, and tail, as well as the neck, and you can open and close the mouth manually. Over here is the Carcharodontosaurus with a blue body and orange and brown detailing. Look at all those spikes right along its spine too. It's interesting how they're all different heights. With this figure, you can move the arms, legs, and tail, and there's an action button on top for chomping. Here is another Allosaurus with different coloring and different actions too. Check out those spikes right along its spine. You can see the two action buttons right here, one for the mouth and one for the arms. And I think we actually have one more Allosaurus in here with different coloring. This one is gray with yellow detailing. You can only move the arms and legs in this figure, aside from the action button on its back that controls its mouth. Right over here is another Albertosaurus. This figure is about medium sized, and it does not have any battle damage like the one we saw earlier, but it's still pretty adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, and you can use the tail to control the face. Here is another Carnotaurus. This one is a newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. As you can see, it's got the broken horn in the front, and this figure is smaller, but pretty adjustable. You can move the legs, the arms, twist the tail, and you can move the head and jaw around too. Here are a few small Dilophosaurus figures. This first one is mostly gray with red detailing and an action button on the tail that activates the frills. The second one is a bit more brightly colored. It has a green body and two different tones of orange, as well as the action button to activate the frills. And last but not least, we've got a bunch of smaller Velociraptor figures. Oh, actually, This is another baby T-Rex, just like we saw at the beginning of the video. But the rest of these figures are all Velociraptors, so let's check them out one by one. First, we've got the tan and brown Velociraptor. This one has a slashing action, spring-loaded torso, so it swings back and forth. This Velociraptor has a brown and yellow body with battle damage that you can open and close on the side. This next Velociraptor has a red and dark purple body, and you can move the arms, legs, and tail, as well as the mouth, but there's no special features on this figure. And these last two figures are similar in movement, but with different coloring. It's got the blue body with a yellow and gold coloring. This one has a dark brown color with orange on the top. Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a ton of Predator dinosaur figures from the Camp Cretaceous collection. And I've even got some huge brand new ones to open up today. Let's go ahead and start with these brand new ones. Let's start with the biggest one at the bottom here. This is the super colossal Indominus Rex. Let's open it up. This thing is already huge. Let's get those legs and tail on. Here is the fully assembled super colossal Indominus Rex. So first off, it has the typical coloring that the smaller Indominus Rexes have. But when you open up the mouth, you can see that there's a tunnel that goes all the way down into the stomach compartment right here. So you can actually feed this Indominus Rex miniature dinosaurs and then empty it out through the stomach right here. That is super cool. Plus, even though this thing is huge, it still is fully adjustable. Of course, you can adjust the jaw. You can also twist the neck. You can adjust the arms up and down. You can move the legs and ankles. And of course, you can move the tail. All in all, I'd say this dinosaur is probably around 2 feet tall and maybe 3 feet long. We've still got two brand new dinosaurs to open up. Let's start with the Albertosaurus. All right, so this is a medium-sized dinosaur. As you can see, it is a mostly green dinosaur, but it has those red striping on its side, from the head all the way to its stomach on both sides. And there's an action button on the tail. If you press the button, it chomps the jaw. Plus, if you twist the tail, it moves its head back and forth like that. I have a few other Albertosauruses. Some of them even have battle damage on the side. This one does not, so this is just the normal primal attack Albertosaurus. Next up, we've got a feeding frenzy Indominus Rex. Let's open it up. All right, here is the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex. Let's check it out. So it has the same coloring as the huge one that we just saw, and it has this huge face and jaw too. This dinosaur comes with tons of sound effects, and it comes with this piece of meat. Let's see what happens when you feed it. So it's making some growling noises, and when it hits the trigger in there, its eyes start glowing too. That is pretty cool. And I love how big the teeth are on this dinosaur as well. Just look at that. Those are so huge. Right up top here, we've got another Indominus Rex. This one is still huge, not quite as huge as the super colossal one that we just opened up. And as you can see, it's colored kind of the same. It has some dark gray on the top and a lighter gray on the sides. It's got those orange eyes. And this dinosaur has two action buttons on it. First, you've got the tail button that activates the jaw. And then you've got a button on its back that activates the slashing action. All in all, this is a really cool Indominus Rex figure. Up next, we've got a giant Spinosaurus with dark green coloring on the sides. And on its spine, there's red, white, and a little bit of green at the bottom. Plus, this Spinosaurus is fully adjustable with the neck, the arms, the legs, and the tail. And of course, you can press the button on the top of its head to open its jaw. This is a super awesome figure and huge. Right up here, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but I believe that this one was custom colored. So you won't really see coloring like this on other T-Rexes that you can get. But look how cool it is. It's bright red, black on the top, and then the orange on the sides. It almost looks like the T-Rex is on fire. That is so awesome. Back here, we've got another T-Rex. This one is normal color. It's got brown on the sides, a darker brown on the top, and the tan belly. Plus, this dinosaur has a few action buttons as well. You can move the tail, and it moves its head around, which I really like. It's super realistic. And there's even a button on the tail that you can press to open its jaw. Back here, we've got another T-Rex, but this one is battle damage. Look at that right on the side. And pressing the button, you can turn it on and off. That is super awesome. And this T-Rex is fully adjustable with the legs, tail, neck, and the jaw as well. Back here, we've actually got another battle damage T-Rex, but this one is a bit different than the other one. Instead of having the thing on its side right here, you can see that there's a bunch of slashes all over its body, on the tail, on its legs, on its belly, and even on its face. And just like the other T-Rexes, this is fully adjustable. You can move the tail, the legs, the arms, the neck, and this one has a button at the top to make it roar. Here is another giant Spinosaurus with different coloring than the last one we saw. This one is mostly brown with the red detailing. You can see along its face it's got that bright red coloring as well as along its spine. And even on the top you can see that there's a lighter tan and then a dark brown color right along the top. That is super cool. Fully adjustable, and it has the button on the head that you can use to open its jaw. Up next, we've got the mighty Carcharodontosaurus. This dinosaur is a mostly tan yellow coloring, but you can see that there's orange and brown striping all the way up to its head. And this dinosaur has an action button as well. With the button on its back, you can do the chomping action. Here is the Tarbosaurus. This dinosaur has totally different coloring. It is a dark gray color with black stripes all along its body. It's got those spikes all along its spine, and right on its chin and on its neck is a bright red color. This dinosaur is fully adjustable with its arms, legs, tail. The tail actually controls the head, and the button on the tail controls the jaw as well. Here's another fierce predator. This is an Allosaurus. It's a dark green color with red and white speckles on its neck and face. And it is fully adjustable, and it's got this slide action. That is super awesome. Right over here, we've got the great Metriacanthosaurus. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a yellow-green color on the sides. It's got the green coloring on top with the action button that controls its jaw. And it is fully adjustable in the legs and arms as well. Right over here, we've actually got a few Baryonyxes with totally different coloring. This first one, gray coloring with blue and a bright blue on the top, and it has a slide action for its roars. This second Baryonyx is brown colored, and it has blue detailing on the top and a bright orange top of the head. And the action button on this dinosaur activates the jaw. All right, here's another massive predator. This is a Carnotaurus. This dinosaur can be controlled by its tail. When you move its tail, it moves its head around. There's also a button on the tail to activate the jaw. And I love the coloring on this. This is like a dark brown red color with speckles of like a gray color as well. So it's quite detailed and fully adjustable as usual too. Right over here, we've got a super long-nosed dinosaur. This is the Sarcophagus. This is a clay red color on the top. Look at all those spikes along the top of its body. And along the bottom is a dark green color. but I love the detail of all those spikes along its back. That really gives it a strong texture. That's really cool. And the tail, of course, controls the head, so you can move the head around. Right back here, we've got a winged dinosaur. I'm sure you recognize this from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Quetzalcoatlus, and it has 2 action buttons. The first on the top flaps its wings, and there's actually one on the bottom that controls the mouth. Oh, here's a dinosaur you don't see too much of. This is a Ceratosaurus. This dinosaur is gray with splotches of dark brown, and of course the red back and the super bright red face with the white horn on the very top. This dinosaur has an action button on its back that controls its jaw, and the rest of its body is fully adjustable. Right back here is another Sarcophagus, but this one has totally different coloring. It's got the blue bottom, the dark purple top, same spines though, and then it's got orange and red splotches all over its back. That is super cool. Here is another unusual predator. This is the Majungasaurus. This dinosaur is pretty brightly colored. Although it's mostly green in the back, it has those bright yellow coloring right along its back and that bright blue color right on its neck and on its head. And this figure has quite a lot of sound effects, as you can hear. The tail also moves the head around so you can make it look super realistic. All right, this is another super noisy dinosaur. This is the Cryolophosaurus. This figure is dark blue around most of its body, and it's got the orange head and neck as well. I love that accent. And with this tail, you can adjust the head and wiggle it around. How cool is that? All right, here is a full-sized Allosaurus. I love the coloring on this dinosaur. It's got the tan yellow bottom and the bright blue top. That is so cool. I think we've actually got 2 Allosauruses here, both with different coloring. So let's check this one out first. This one has 2 action buttons on the top. The first controls its jaw, and the second button controls its arms. How cool is that? The legs are fully adjustable, and the tail you can twist as well. The second Allosaurus is mostly gray with the yellow splotches all along the top of its body. And this has 1 action button on its back where you press it and it controls the jaw. Right over here, we've got a brightly colored Suchomimus. This is a bright yellow with brown along its spine, and this dinosaur has a few action buttons. The first controls its neck and jaw, and the second controls its tail. Plus, the rest of the figure is fully adjustable as well. Oh, here's actually a second Suchomimus with totally different coloring. This one is mostly blue along the entire body, but it's got the yellow detailing along its spine as well as those splotches. And this Suchomimus has 1 action on its back. When you press it down, it does a chomping action. All right, here's another Baryonyx with different coloring. This Baryonyx is light brown on the sides and the belly, and on the top has a dark blue coloring all along its back to the tail and to the head. But the coolest part of the coloring is this super reflective blue coloring right on its head. This Baryonyx is fully adjustable, and it has 1 action button for its jaw. Here is another Cryolophosaurus. This one is differently colored than the last one that we saw. It's mostly yellow with the brown on the top and of course the bright orange crown on its head. This dinosaur is fully adjustable. You can move the tail to adjust the head. And of course, as you can hear, it comes with tons of sound effects. Here is another Metriacanthosaurus. But once again, different coloring than the last one we saw. This one is a bright red color with brown detailing all along its back. And on the head, you can see that it's got that bright orange and yellow coloring. There is 1 action button on this dinosaur, and that controls the jaw. Up next, we've got Another Carcharodontosaurus. Check out the coloring on this one. This is a bright blue coloring, and it's got the brown and orange specks on its back and neck, and right around its eye as well. This dinosaur is fully adjustable with legs, arms, and tail, and there's one action button on its back that when you press, it does a chomping action. All right. We've got another Baryonyx right here. This one is bright green with brown on the top. And as usual, the arms and legs are fully adjustable, and there is one action button on the top that controls its jaw. All right, check this one out. I remember this from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is a Dimetrodon. And look at that huge spine on its back. It's red with yellow speckles all over it. And with this dinosaur figure, when you wiggle the tail back and forth, it opens and closes its jaw. All right, I see a ton of velociraptors in here. Let's pull a few out. This velociraptor is a green color with a darker green along the top and is fully adjustable. Even with the mouth, you can open and close. The second velociraptor is different coloring. This is a blue along most of its body. It's got the tan bottom, but the coolest part of all, it's got the yellow along the top and a shining gold along its head. It's actually reflective, which is super cool. And this velociraptor is mostly tan. You can see it along the bottom and the sides with the brown top. But most importantly, this velociraptor has a slashing action. It is spring-loaded, so you can actually twist its torso back and forth, and it'll do this slashing action. All right over here, we've got a baby T-Rex with a jaw-chomping action, brightly green colored, and fully adjustable. And this is a Dilophosaurus. It is mostly gray colored with darker gray along the top. But this Dilophosaurus actually has an action. When you move the tail, it activates its frills. That's so cool. We've still got more velociraptors in here. Let's check them out. Here are 4 velociraptors. The first is an orangish velociraptor, and it has the slashing action. The next velociraptor is a bright red color with green striping on the top. Look at how bright this velociraptor is, and it is fully adjustable. The next velociraptor is a classic one. This is blue, and it comes with battle damage on the side as well. And this velociraptor is more of a yellow coloring with brown on the top. This one also comes with battle damage on the side as well. All right, just a few dinosaurs left. This is a Herrerasaurus. It is all green, and it has different shades of green all along its body. And it is fully adjustable with the mouth, the neck, the arms, and the legs. Over here, we've got a weird-looking dinosaur. This is the Shringosaurus. Look at those huge horns on its head, and the brown coloring on the top, and the yellow on the sides. This is quite the odd-looking dinosaur. At least I think so. And our last 2 dinosaurs of this collection. First, we've got the Great Dimorphodon. This is mostly a gray color with a dark red along the bottom of its wings, but it's still fully adjustable with its legs, its mouth, its neck, and its wings. And this velociraptor is a dark gray color with yellow detailing right along the top of it, and is fully adjustable as well.
Welcome to my Camp Cretaceous Predator versus Prey collection from Jurassic World. We've got a bunch of figures, so let's get started with the biggest and baddest of them all, this Indominus Rex figure. This figure is ginormous. I think it might be one of the largest Predator figures that I have in my Jurassic World collection, aside from these super colossal figures. And it's also got these action buttons on its back, one for slashing the claws, and one to activate the jaws. How cool is that? Plus, there's even lights down its throat that you can kind of see on the outside too. Next up, we've got a massive Spinosaurus figure. This figure is the light tan with the dark brown and red along the spine. It is very posable, and its neck is very movable, which is really cool. Plus, there's a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. And check out all those teeth too. Right over here is our first prey of the bin. This is a Triceratops figure with the dark green coloring. It's got some brown detailing along the top and on the front as well. And this figure actually has 2 action buttons on its back. One is to lift the head up and down for striking with those awesome horns, and the second button swings the tail back and forth. I bet that would hurt if you got hit by this in real life too. Next up, another predator, the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex with the gray-brown coloring and the dark brown on top. This figure is very posable as well. It's got a decent amount of detailing in the coloring. I like how they fade from the dark brown to the gray-brown coloring. And of course, it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Here is another T-Rex predator. This figure is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This one has some very different detailing than the T-Rex that we just saw. It's got these splotches all over its back with the lighter underbelly and the darker coloring right around its eyes too. And this figure has 2 action buttons. The first one is for the roaring. That's really cool how it lifts its whole neck up. And the second action is actually when you twist the tails, it stomps its feet up and down with sound effects. Here's a small prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the gray and dark purple Brachiosaurus. It's actually a baby Brachiosaurus, but it's still quite movable and posable. You can move the neck, the legs, and you can even open and close the jaw too. So even though it's pretty small, it's still a pretty cool figure. On to another Predator figure. This figure was made famous by the first Jurassic World movie. This is a Mosasaurus, and this figure is huge. And it's even larger in real life as well compared to the other dinosaurs. It's got this dark blue body with white splotches all over. You can open and close the jaw, you can move all the fins, and you can even swing the tail back and forth too. Right here, we've got, I believe this is the Rowdy Roar's Carnotaurus figure. So it's kind of funny because it looks almost like a baby Carnotaurus. It's got these huge feet and a huge head and then this small body. Plus, it actually comes with a few actions as well. There's a button at the bottom of its tail for the chomping. It's pretty cool. You can see it swings its neck forward. And there's also a button on the top of its head for blinking and more sound effects. Right over here is another Carnotaurus predator figure. This one has the light gray coloring on the underbelly and that same orange-red coloring on its side and the brown on top. Of course, it's got those iconic horns at the top of its head, those yellow eyes, and it has a few action features as well. You can open and close the mouth using a button on its tail, and you can twist its head in all directions to look really lifelike. Next up, I've actually got some brand new Camp Cretaceous sets that we're gonna open up right now. Let's check out this first one. This is the Ben and Ankylosaurus Bumpy set from the Dino Escape. It looks a little opened up already, but I think it still has most of the pieces. Let's check it out. See the spear over here? And let's go ahead and get Ben out of here and check him out. All right, so the Ben figure actually comes with this awesome little shield and this spear that he can hold. Plus, the figure itself has some pretty cool detailing. The figure looks dirty as if it's been in the jungle and in the wild, so pretty lifelike. And of course, we've got the cute little Ankylosaurus Bumpy with the iconic blue coloring on the top and the yellow underbelly. And even though this figure is pretty small, you can even twist the tail around and adjust that, and move the legs and twist the neck around too. So there's a lot that you can move around on this figure. I've got one more brand new Camp Cretaceous set to open up. This is the Camp Adventure set. All right, this set comes with 4 figurines. The first is this giant Stegosaurus figure, which is a prey dinosaur, and it's got the gray-blue body with the darker coloring right along the top. You can move the neck around a little bit, you can adjust all the legs, and it has an action button that swings its tail back and forth. Next in the set, we've got a Baryonyx figure. That's really cool. I have a few other Baryonyx figures like this,
This one has the light green coloring along most of its body, and then it has the dark brown detailing along some of its leg and along the top as well, while its head is a lighter brown color. Plus, there is an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Next in the set, we've got Darius with the iconic yellow sweater and the blue pants. This figure even has the dinosaur tooth necklace around their neck. How cool is that? And last of all, and smallest of all, is another Ankylosaurus Bumpy figure. This figure is super small though, and actually none of the parts move. Oh, you know what? The tail moves back and forth. How cool is that? But that's the only part that moves on this teeny tiny figure. All right, back to the bin. Let's see what other predators and preys we have. We've got another giant T-Rex figure with the light brown coloring on the side and darker brown on the top. You can wiggle the tail around, you can adjust the ankles and move the legs, and of course it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaws. I really like with these figures how you can pose their neck in all directions and it actually stays looking in that direction. Right over here, we've got two prey figures of the same species. These are both Triceratops. You can tell because they have the 3 horns on the front of their face. This first one is a lot larger and has the clay red coloring and one action button on its back to move its head up and down. And the smaller Triceratops figure is a light green in color, and this figure has a really cool feature on the side of its body, which is the battle damage that you can open and close. I really like these because you can choose to hide the battle damage or open it up and show it. We've got more awesome predator figures in here. This is the Albertosaurus with the green body and the orange detailing on the side. And this figure, you can use the tail to twist the head back and forth, as well as open and close the jaw. Here is an Allosaurus figure, and I've actually got a few more Allosaurus figures in here, so let's check these out one at a time. This first one is a dark green color. It's got some red and white detailing right along its neck and its head. It's got those dark red eyes, which I think is really cool. And this figure has the slide lever action to open the jaw and get a bunch of sound effects too. This next Allosaurus figure is gray and light yellow. You can move all the limbs on this one. This one has some yellow eyes, and it has one action button on its back to activate the jaws. And here is the final Allosaurus of the bin. This is a brown and dark blue Allosaurus. It looks very much the same as the other figures. It's got the yellow eyes on this figure, as well as the spikes going down its neck, and the slide lever action for different roar sound effects, and a bunch of different poses too. Here's another prey figure. This is a Sauropelta. It has the bright red top and the brown underbelly and those super huge spikes coming out of its shoulders. It's got a whole row. It's actually got 2 rows on each side. And this figure is actually spring-loaded, so you can swing it back and forth to attack with those spikes. Next up, we've got another Rowdy Roars figure. This is an Indominus Rex. It looks very much the same as the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus. It's got the big feet, the giant head, and the small body, and it actually has some actions as well. You can use the tail to open the jaw, and then you can press on the tongue to snap it shut. And there is a button on its nose as well to activate more sound effects. I've got some smaller prey in here as well. Check out these Gallimimus figures. They look pretty identical, but this one is a darker orange coloring with brown stripes, and this one is much lighter. And they both have the same movements. You can move all the limbs, you can twist the tail, and you can move the necks up and down as well. Next up, I believe, is the Ceratosaurus figure. This figure is gray, it's got some dark brown, and then the bright red along its back, which is a really cool color scheme, I think. It's got the action button on its back to activate the jaw as well. Here is our first winged predator of the bin. This is a Pteranodon, and this one actually has some battle damage on its wings. You can see that there's a hole in its wing right there. Plus, you can actually open up more battle damage right on its back. Looks like I've got a few more Baryonyx figures in here as well. This first one is another light green with the brown detailing along the top. It's got the action button on its back for chomping. And I've also got this battle damage Baryonyx as well. This one is a darker red color with some blue detailing on the top. It's got a lighter color along the top of its head, and you can see the battle damage on its neck, on its leg, and it looks like that's about it. But it also has an action button to activate the jaw as well. Next up is another prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the Stegosaurus with the brown, light tan, and green coloring. It's very much similar to the Stegosaurus that we saw earlier, including an action button to swing its tail back and forth, but this one actually has another feature that when you press down here, it moves its neck up and down. The next predator is a Metriacanthosaurus in the bright red coloring with the brown detailing and the light orange along its head and its nose as well. This figure also has the action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right over here, we've got a Pachycephalosaurus figurine. This is light tan along the sides, it's a bit brighter along its belly, and it has the dark gray-blue detailing along its top and on its legs too. Plus, this figure has an action button that when you move the tail, it does the headbutting action. So this figure is actually spring-loaded. All right, check it out. We've got a few raptor figures in here. Velociraptors to be exact. This first one is the green Velociraptor. It is in a sneaking pose. It's crawling along the ground, looking for some prey. And I've also got this blue Velociraptor with some awesome detailing and even the gold on the top of its head. That's a really cool feature. I think this is my only Velociraptor with reflective gold on its head. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here, all with different coloring. This first one is super bright green. It's got the darker green along the top and an action button. When you push down on the tail, it opens and closes its jaw. I've also got these other Monolophosaurus. This one is like a light red color with almost purple coloring along its back, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw. And this Monolophosaurus is dark green with some bright yellow and red coloring along the top, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw using the tail. Here we've got a few more prey figures from Camp Cretaceous. This first one is a Stygimoloch figure and is really small, but it's still quite posable. You can move the head in all directions, you can twist the tail and move the limbs. And this figure, I believe, is the Protoceratops. It's got the light purple body with some brighter yellow coloring along the top and on the front as well. And it's got some bright yellow eyes too. Looks like we've got two more winged predators in here. These both, I believe, are Dimorphodons. This first one is a lot brighter. It's got like some fire detailing on the underside of its wings, and the rest of its body is a darker red. And this figure has some purplish coloring along the underside of its wings, while the rest of its body is a gray color. Just a few small figures left. We've got another Gallimimus figure, this one with different coloring. It actually has yellow and brown striping along its back, all the way up to its head. I've also got, I think this is a Troodon figure. It's kind of funny because it looks like it's got a mohawk, but those are actually just the spines going all the way down its back. It's got some cool coloring as well. And then, of course, I've got a Dilophosaurus figure with the light coloring along its body and the red along its frills. Plus, this figure has an action that when you move the tail, its frills activate. And last of all, I've got some of the Camp Cretaceous human character figurines. We've even got Darius again, we've got Brooklyn, and all these figures, each with their own unique looks.
Today we're checking out a huge collection of 50 Jurassic World dinosaurs from Jurassic World Dominion, Camp Cretaceous, and a lot more.
Let's start with the biggest figure in this entire bin. This is the Apatosaurus figure. This figure is ginormous. It's very similar to a Brachiosaurus. It's got the long neck, but it has a totally different face and a much stockier body, I think. But the figure itself is pretty cool because you can move all the legs, you can swivel the tail back and forth, you can move the neck back and forth too, and there's a surprising amount of detail on its face. You can even open and close its mouth too. This thing is ginormous. Next up, I believe released as part of the first Jurassic World movie, is this hybrid Indominus Rex figure. It's got the bright red coloring, it's got some special features, can pop out those spines, its jaw opens and closes, and as you can hear, there's tons of sound effects too. Way over here from Jurassic World Dominion, we've got an extreme battle damaged Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is darker than a lot of the T-Rex figures that I have, and of course, it's got the battle damaged slashes right on its side that you can open and close to hide completely or to show. That's really cool. Here is another giant T-Rex figure. This one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't quite remember. But this one is a dark green coloring, which I love. It's got some black striping along the top, and it's got the action button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Over here, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This figure has tons of spikes running down all the way down its spine to its tail. It's got a dark gray body with some red right underneath its neck and chin, and it's got some action features as well. It can open and close the jaw and move the neck. This, I believe, is the Parasaurolophus figure. It's got some really cool pink reflective coloring, which is a pretty special feature. You can move all of its limbs, and you can use its tail to move its head up and down, and in all directions. Over here, we've got another Parasaurolophus figure, but I think that this one is from the Amber collection or the Hammond collection. I actually can't remember. But it's got some pretty cool coloring and striping along its body. This figure is very poseable. You can even bend at the elbows and at the knees and at the ankles, which you can't do with a lot of Jurassic World figures, so that's pretty cool. Next up is the purple, orange, and blue Sarcosuchus figure. This dinosaur spends a lot of its time in the water. It looks a bit like an alligator actually, and it's got some awesome spikes running along its back, and it has some action features that you can use the tail to move the head around and open and close the ginormous jaw. Here we've got an Ankylosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It comes with sound effects as you can hear, and when you press down on its back, it actually swings its tail back and forth. This is the new Triceratops figure from the Hammond collection. It's got a whole lot more detailing along its skin, which is pretty cool. The coloring is a little bit varied along its body, but the best part is that there are many points of articulation. You can move all of its limbs in all sorts of directions, and I love the detailing on the face too. It's really cool. Here is the Sound Surge Carnotaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the all red body, and of course, the sound effects. Next up is the basic Spinosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with the red spine. You can move the legs and arms and tail, but you can't open and close the jaw on this figure. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Scorpius Rex figure. This one is a bit smaller than the other Scorpius Rex figure that I have. It's got a green body with some black detailing along the top, and you can move all of its limbs as well, even open and close the jaw. Here is a T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie, and this one was actually custom painted, so you won't see this one much around, but it's got the red body with the black stripes and spots, and the yellow eyes, and an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right here, we've got the Seats Microrarum figure. This is a pretty unique figure. I love how the teeth fit into the jaw perfectly. See that big tooth right there and how it fits in perfect? That is super cool. Plus, it's got tons of spikes along its neck and its back, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaw too. Way in the back here, we've got the Carcharodontosaurus figure in the tan, brown, and orange coloring. It's got some little spikes running up its head all the way to its tail, and it's got an action button on its back to activate the chomping action. Here is the Yangchuanosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. So this is a newer figure. It's got the green body with brown detailing, and you can actually move its whole body quite a bit. You can move its torso up and down, and you can use the tail to control the head too. Right here from the first Jurassic World movie is the miniature Mosasaurus figure with battle damage on the side. That is really cool. I have quite a few giant Mosasaurus figures, but this one is still really cool and decently detailed as well. Watch out, we've got another Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This one also has the battle damage on both sides of its body that you can turn on and off. Plus, the rest of its body is very posable as well. Next up is the Cryolophosaurus figure. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't remember. But anyways, you can move the tail to move the head up and down, and you can move all the limbs and open and close the jaw too. Here's a couple more figures from the first Jurassic World movie. So these figures are pretty old. These are both miniature Spinosaurus figures. They both have the battle damage on the side. This one is more wildly colored, and this one's a bit more realistic. Next up, I've got a giant Dilophosaurus figure in the red coloring with these super bright frills and crown in the front. That is really cool. Here is a Pachycephalosaurus figure with the green and brown coloring and the battle damage that you can open and close on the side. This figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. It is the Rajasaurus with the dark blue coloring and the white on its neck and chin as well. Plus, it's got some spikes right along the top of its neck. And with this figure, when you press down on its back, it has a chomping action. This is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail around, and it has some pretty cool coloring and detailing along its body. Looks like I've got another Cryolophosaurus figure in here. This one is bright yellow with brown and orange detailing along its head, and just like the other figure, you can open and close the mouth, and you can use the tail to swing the neck around. Oh, look at this. I've actually got another Rajasaurus figure too, also with different coloring. This one is light brown with the dark blue coloring along its back and neck. And just like the other Rajasaurus, you can press down on its back for the chomping action. This is the Albertosaurus figurine with battle damage on its side. Check it out, you can see its stomach, then you can even close the ribs, and then you can even close the skin to hide it all. That is really cool. Plus it's got some battle damage on its leg as well. And the rest of its body is pretty adjustable too. So this is a pretty awesome figure. This, I believe, is a Sinoceratops from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got a bright yellow tail with a green body, and its eyes are all black, which is really cool. With this figure, you can press down on its body for the roaring action. Next up, I've actually got some brand new figures that we're gonna open up on camera here. The first is this Funko Pop Giganotosaurus figure. So this Giganotosaurus figure comes on a clear stand. It's got some interesting coloring. It's a lot different than the Mattel Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the light gray coloring on the underside, this gray-blue coloring all along the top, so it's not very green like many of the other figures. And it's got these huge yellow eyes without pupils, which is interesting. Plus you can see a little bit of battle damage, some slashes and scrapes here and there, all along its body too. And we've also got the Dino Rivals Dual Attack Triceratops. This Triceratops is a light gray color. It's got some darker detailing along the top. And as the name says, it has two action buttons. The first is for the horn slashing or roaring action. And there's a second button for the tail whipping too. Whips its tail back and forth. It's pretty cool. Here we've got a similar dinosaur. This one, I believe, is a Sinoceratops. It's got the green and tan coloring with the tan underbelly and a little bit of orange on its frill in the front too. And this figure has one action button on its back to activate moving the head up and down. Next up, we've got a smaller figure. I actually don't remember the species of this dinosaur, so let me know down in the comments if you recognize what type of dinosaur this is. It's got an action button on its back to move its head back and forth. I've also got a few mini figures right here, both with different coloring. This first one is a greenish color. It's got some interesting detailing along its body, and the other one is red with white spikes, which is really cool. I think this one is definitely my more favorite one. Next up is the Zunoceratops figure. Pretty similar to a Triceratops. It's got those 2 horns in the front, but it does not have the 3rd horn, and it's got some different coloring as well. Over here, we've got a baby T-Rex figure. It's got the light green body with some darker green detailing, and it's got an action that you can use to open and close its jaw. This is a Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's a lot smaller than most of the Carnotaurus figures, but it's got some pretty cool coloring, very different from the other Carnotaurus figures, and it's still quite posable as well. Here's an interesting looking dinosaur. I believe this one is a Shringosaurus or something like that. I can't quite remember, but the most interesting part is it's got spikes, little spikes on its shoulders and huge spikes on its tail. That's pretty cool. Right over here, I've got a battle damage Coelurus figure that you can actually turn the battle damage on and off, just like the giant T-Rexes that we saw earlier. That's pretty cool. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus figure in the light green and dark green coloring, and it is pretty adjustable as well. You can move the neck, the legs, and the mouth as well. Right over here, this, I believe, is a Stygimoloch figure, and it has an action that when you move the tail, it has the headbutting action. I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here as well. This first one is the spring-loaded version, so you can actually have it jump into the air because its legs are spring-loaded. I've also got one, I believe, from the Amber collection, so it's a lot more detailed and a lot more articulate with its limbs, so you can move its arms and its legs quite a bit more. And I've also got this third Velociraptor figure with some pretty cool blue coloring. It's pretty unique with its coloring, and it's got an action button on its back to move its claws up and down. These next figures are Herrerasaurus dinosaurs. They both look pretty identical except from the coloring. This one is a light blue-gray coloring, and this one is green with brown on the top, and this one actually has battle damage that you can open and close on the side. And for the final figures, we've got Dr. Ian Malcolm, and we've got a Dracorex figure with all these spikes on its head. Plus, you can move its neck up and down, and its arms and legs as well. Welcome back to Amazing Dinosaurs. Today I'm showing you a collection of my biggest Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World dinosaur figures. Let's get started with these brand new ones that I just bought. Let's start with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Alright, so here's the Tyrannosaurus Rex with battle damage. That is pretty cool that it flips open and closed so easily. The rest of this T-Rex has a brown body with black detailing on the top, and the neck and head is fully posable too. Next up, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Mosasaurus. Let's open it up and check it out. All right, so here is the fully assembled giant Mosasaurus. It's got an opening jaw, and all the tails are adjustable. Top of its body is a dark blue-purple color, and its underbelly is a gray color. Check out those blue eyes too. Next up, we've got the giant Giganotosaurus. Check out the spikes on this dinosaur right at the top. That is a massive spine. This dinosaur has some huge teeth, and like many of the super colossal figures, you can actually feed it small dinosaurs and then empty it out in the stomach compartment. Over here on the other side, we've got another super colossal dinosaur. This is the T-Rex. This has a darker body than most of my T-Rex figures. It still has the white underbelly, and just like the Giganotosaurus, you can open it up, feed it miniature dinosaurs all the way down, and open it up in the stomach compartment. Next up, we've got a giant Brachiosaurus, and it's pretty detailed, even though it's a huge dinosaur figure. You can adjust all the legs, to move the neck up and down. So So it's a pretty cool figure, and it's ginormous. Probably stands about 3 feet tall. Next up, another huge dinosaur is the Apatosaurus. Check out this green body with the lighter green striping on the top. Can open and close the mouth and rotate the head too. Next up, we've got a huge T-Rex that's over a foot long from tail to the head. This T-Rex has a dark brown body, a yellow underbelly, and gray detailing all over the top of its body, plus an action button for roaring. Right over here, we've got another T-Rex with camouflage custom coloring. This dinosaur looks really cool. I love the coloring on this. And with the tail, you can control the face and the roaring too. Right over here, we've got an Indominus Rex with battle damage. Let's check that out. That is really cool. Again, I really like how you can flip that on and off super easily. Rest of this dinosaur is all gray, super textured and bumpy all over its body, and it has an action button to operate the jaw. Next up, we've got an evil looking Scorpius Rex. It's got the quills on its tail, spring loaded so you can flick the tail back and forth. It's got those huge claws on its feet too. This is one mean looking dinosaur. Right up top here, we've got another Mosasaurus. So we've got twin Mosasauruses in my collection now. You can see that it's speckled white all along its back with the dark blue and the gray underbelly as well. And the tail moves too. Here is a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a darker body, just like the super colossal one that we saw earlier. The head on this T-Rex is ginormous too, a lot bigger than the other T-Rexes that I have. Over here, we've got a custom colored Indominus Rex. This one's got blue, it's got purple, it's got orange, and it's got black. And it's got some green eyes too. And just like many of the other Indominus Rex figures, this has a slashing action and a roar button too. We got a ton of T-Rexes in here. Check out this gray-brown one that is fully adjustable and fully posable. We've also got some more battle damage T-Rexes. All those teeth, fully posable and fully adjustable legs, arms, and tail. Up front here, we've got another T-Rex, but with different coloring. This is like a brown-orange color and a darker brown on top. Once again, this T-Rex is also fully adjustable, can pose the neck, and it's got a button at the top of its head to control the jaw. Here is another orange-brown Tyrannosaurus Rex, but as you probably already noticed, this one has battle damage all over it. And it doesn't have the little button to click it back and forth. It's just painted on its body. Here is a normal colored Indominus Rex without the battle damage. This Indominus Rex has a gray body. It's a little bit darker on the top. It's got those spikes right around the head. And then it's got darker coloring right around its eyes too. Here is another Mosasaurus. This one has different coloring than the other ones that we've seen in this collection so far. It's a lighter blue coloring on the sides. Still got the dark gray top. No white speckles on this one though. And just like the other Mosasauruses, it has a movable jaw, can adjust the fins, but on this one, the tail actually doesn't move at all. Next up, another T-Rex. Light brown coloring on the side, darker brown on the top, and a yellow underbelly. And this T-Rex has the tail that also controls the head. Here is our first Spinosaurus of this collection. This Spinosaurus is light tan on the side, the movable tail, legs, ankles, arms, neck, and the jaw as well. Over on this side, we've got a big old Carnotaurus. It's got a gray underbelly and clay red sides and a darker brown top. Look at all those bumps and spikes along its body, and the two horns up top too. Here we've got a T-Rex, but this one is crazy custom colored. Look at the bright red on this body. You wouldn't see this coloring out in the wild, but it sure makes for an awesome collectible. Here is a big old Stegosaurus with gray-blue coloring on the sides and a darker gray along the top with a pink underbelly. And this dinosaur, like all the others, is super textured. You can see it's got super bumpy skin everywhere. Here is an Allosaurus with a dark green body and gray and red detailing right along its neck. See that set of teeth too, and those red eyes. That's really cool. Depending on how much you slide this open, it'll either growl or it'll roar full on. This is another Allosaurus, but with totally different features. This has a tan body with blue on the top and a brighter blue right along the head. And it's got 2 action buttons. That one controls the jaw and the other controls the arms. Look at that blue tongue too. How unusual. Right in the back here, we've got a tan dinosaur. This is a Carcharodontosaurus. It's got the brown and yellow detailing with the bumps right along its spine all the way to its tail. This Carcharodontosaurus also has quite a set of teeth too. Here is a dark red dinosaur with a white underbelly. This is a Carnotaurus, and this dinosaur has a chomping action. Check out those 2 iconic horns right at the top of the head too. This big old dinosaur is a Suchomimus. It's got a blue body with a darker blue legs and a yellow top. Look at that, that goes all the way down the spine to the tail. Plus, this Suchomimus has a chomping action. Look at those huge rows of teeth too. And that red tongue. Up next, we've got a big old Stegosaurus again, but with different coloring. This is a dark green along the sides. It's got tan and brown that leads to the underbelly. And this Stegosaurus has a swinging action for its tail. Let's check that out. That's pretty cool. This is a little bit smaller, but it's still a pretty big dinosaur. It's a Ceratosaurus with dark green coloring, and it's got the slide action for different sound effects. That is really cool. Oh, you know what? Back here is another Ceratosaurus. This one though is gray with brown spots and red right on the top and a super bright red face. Let's see what this dinosaur can do. This big old super bright dinosaur is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's even got some bright yellow orange right on the top of its head. This gray dinosaur is an Allosaurus. It's got that yellow detailing from the tail all the way to the top of the head. Look at those interesting things right above its eyes. It's kind of like eyebrows in a way. And our last dinosaur is the good old Albertosaurus with battle damage. You can see it's got the slash on its leg, and it's also got a squishy stomach, ribs that you can pull down, and then skin that covers it all. To the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out all of my Jurassic World Dominion dinosaur figures. Let's get started with this classic ginormous T-Rex figure. This Dominion T-Rex has a dark brown body with the black along the top. It's got the barcode scanner right on its back right there. And it's got a pretty thick neck and a pretty big head compared to a lot of the other T-Rex figures. It's got some evil yellow looking eyes. It's got a mouthful of teeth, plus the mouth actually has a throat, so you can actually fit some miniature dinosaurs in there. It doesn't have a stomach compartment, but as you can see, you could probably fit a few small dinosaurs in there. And the coolest feature of this figure is that it's got a button on its tail to activate the jaw, and you can move the tail to swing the torso around too. So it makes it look really lifelike. Next up, we've got a Mega Raptor figure. This is one of my newest figures that I bought fairly recently. It's pretty awesome. It's got those huge claws in the front. It's got a red and a dark blue body. It's got some feathering detailing along its back and along its head, as well as some white detailing right along its face. It's got the barcode scanner right on its back. You can twist the tail. The tail also has some cool looking feathers, which is pretty unique. And you can adjust the arms and legs of this figure. Plus, there is a chomping action when you press down on its body. It's got some sound effects too. That's pretty cool. This, I believe, is the Majungasaurus figure. This dinosaur has a lighter underbelly, a dark green side, and the brown detailing along the top. It's got some cool ridges right along its head, as well as the super tall orange ridge right on the top of its head. And you can move the arms and legs of this figure, as well as swivel the tail around to control the neck. And with this figure, you can actually adjust the standing pose by moving its legs. See how it leans down when you adjust the legs? That's a pretty cool feature. Not that many other figures that I have work like that. And of course, it's got the button on its tail to activate the jaw. This wild-looking dinosaur is the Ichthyovenator. This dinosaur has a dark green body along its underside and on its sides, and it's got the super bright green detailing right along its spine and on its tail too. This is a pretty unique tail. This dinosaur has a long snout with a bunch of teeth inside. And the best part is that this dinosaur has an action when you press down on its body. It does a chomping action. Here we've got a ginormous Allosaurus figure, but not only that, this is an extreme battle damage Allosaurus. I think it's the only one I have that is a battle damage edition. This Allosaurus is almost as big as most of the T-Rex figures I have, which is unusual for an Allosaurus figure, and it's pretty adjustable. You can swivel the tail all around, you can move the legs and the arms, and there's a button on its back to activate the jaw too. But the coolest part is the extreme battle damage on its side. You can hide it completely, and then you can spring it open. It's spring-loaded, and you can even lift up the ribs to check out the insides underneath. I think that's its stomach right there. It's pretty squishy. That is really cool. And you can close it up and hide it. This is the Atrociraptor figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the dark red eyes and the brown striping, which is actually very similar to this super colossal Atrociraptor that I have back here. Look at that, they're pretty similar. On this little figure, its mouth is closed and you can't open it. But on this super colossal figure, it is a lot more adjustable. It has those same dark red eyes, the striping all along its body, and this super colossal figure has the stomach compartment, so you can actually feed this huge figure smaller dinosaurs. This is the Rajasaurus figure in the dark blue edition. As you can see, most of its body is that dark blue-gray color. It's got some white detailing along its neck, on its arms, and on its chin. It's got some big old spines right along the top of its neck, and this figure actually has a chomping action when you press down on its body. I've noticed that they're doing this chomping action for a lot of the new Jurassic World Dominion figures. And I've actually got another Rajasaurus figure with different coloring here. This one is dark brown along its body and undersides, and it's got the dark blue just along the top and along those spines right there. It's got the horn on the top of its head and that same chomping action when you press down on its body. Moving along, we've got the Sound Surge T-Rex figure. This figure is a lot smaller than most of the T-Rex figures I have, but you can swivel the tail around, you can move the legs and the arm, and you can open and close the jaw manually. You'll see that the tongue and lower teeth are not colored though, which is kind of a bummer, but it still has a cool feature that when you press down on the button, you get some T-Rex sound effects. Speaking of T-Rexes, I've got this huge super colossal T-Rex figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This figure is ginormous. Check it out. It has similar coloring as the first T-Rex that we saw in this video, but it has some cool features as well. Since it's a super colossal T-Rex, it has the stomach compartment, so you can feed this dinosaur smaller dinosaurs down its throat all the way to the stomach. And that is pretty cool. Next up, we've got a Giganotosaurus figure. I believe this is the Strike and Roar figure. It comes with two awesome functions. The first swings its torso and its head around for that chomping action. And the second button on the bottom of its tail opens and closes the jaw for roaring. That's pretty cool. That's some pretty wild movement. Over here in the corner, you may have already noticed, I've got another Giganotosaurus figure. This one is the Super Colossal Edition, and it is huge, just like the other Super Colossal figures. It's got the dark green body with black detailing. It's got the huge jaw with some really pointy long teeth. And since it's a Super Colossal figure, it has the stomach compartment for feeding smaller dinosaurs. Next, I've even got some brand new figures that we're gonna open up on camera. This one was a bit damaged in shipping, as you can see. This is the Velociraptor Blue and Atrociraptor pack. Let's check it out. Here is the Atrociraptor Blue pack. You move its neck up and down, you can open and close its jaw, as well as move its arms and its legs. And here is the super bright orange and white Atrociraptor. And this Atrociraptor has the same movements as Velociraptor Blue. You can move the neck up and down, you can open and close the jaw, and move the arms and legs too. And it's got the barcode scanner right at the top of its back too. This is the Sound Surge Carnotaurus figure. It's pretty basic in design and not a ton of coloring. It's like almost completely red. It's got a little bit of white underneath its chin, and like the other Sound Surge figures, its tongue and its lower teeth are not colored, which is a bit of a bummer. But let's check out those sound effects that you can activate by pressing this button on its back. Here is the basic Pyroraptor figure. This figure is a dark red color with some black along its tail and its legs, as well as some black detailing right along its face too. And on this figure, you can only move its arms, its legs, and its tail a little bit. Speaking of Pyroraptor, I've got this ultimate uncaged Pyroraptor. Let's open it up and check it out. Here is the uncaged Pyroraptor, and this figure is huge. This Pyroraptor has sensors all over its face and on its chin, so you actually can do quite a bit with this figure. There's a training mode, there's a play mode, there's a wild mode. So let's check it out and see what kind of sound effects it comes with. Wow, that's pretty cool. I think it's in wild mode right now, because it's roaring a lot at me. All right, now its eyes turn blue. Let's see what happens when I touch those sensors. Wow, there's so much you can do with this thing. You can even train this Pyroraptor, which it's not obeying me right now, so it's obviously not trained right now, but that's pretty cool. I could spend a lot of time on this figure. You gotta check it out for yourself. Over here, we've got the Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor figure. This figure is also battery operated. Let's see what happens when you tap the top of its head. So it's got some sound effects, and it can open and close its jaw too. That's pretty neat. Over here, we've also got the Rowdy Roars Dilophosaurus figure. This one is also battery operated. So let's check that out. Let's see what sound effects this one can make too. That's pretty cool. Here is another Giganotosaurus figure. This is the Sound Surge edition. so it's a bit smaller than many of the other Giganotosaurus figures, and it's fairly adjustable. You can open and close the jaw, and move the arms, the legs, and the tail, and of course it's got the sound effects too. This is the Extreme Damage Dimetrodon. It has a light green body and the super bright spine on its back, and it's got the battle damage right on its side that you can turn on and turn off with the click of a button. Here is a smaller Carnotaurus figure. This one is dark green and orange, and it is pretty adjustable. You can move the neck, you can open and close the jaw, and you can move all the limbs as well. We've got a couple small Atrociraptor figures in here. Here is the classic white with brown striping Atrociraptor. And over here, we've got a light tan Atrociraptor with brown striping that's in a crawling pose. That's pretty cool. Next up, we've got an extreme battle damage Velociraptor. This Velociraptor has a white underbelly and sides with the dark blue on top, and the extreme battle damage right on the side that you can turn on and off. And this final dinosaur is an extreme battle damage Coelurus. It has the dark green body with the red legs, tail, and head, and it's got the extreme battle damage just like the Velociraptor that you can turn on and off.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.